Evening all. I haven't done a video for a while, so I thought I'd better add. And welcome to my latest subscriber, whoever you are. Well, it's been an interesting few weeks, isn't it? A world of libtards being allowed out of the asylum to try and stop Trump coming over. As if that's ever going to happen. The most powerful man in the world, with the biggest possible checkbook you can imagine. Oh yeah, and Theresa May, even though she slagged him off, is now best buddies. So the people who paid all them libtards in London and that yesterday have wasted their money, haven't they? It was interesting to see that they had a debate in Parliament about the petition. And remember, a petition is just an instrument of begging from a inferior to a superior. They turned around and said, screw you, we're not going to take any notice of you anyway. But I think that's a symptom of a worse situation in Parliament. I don't know if you follow the news much, but we've got the NHS is not just crumbling, it's collapsing fast. And there's rioting in the prisons. We've only got 13 ships left in the Navy. This time last year we had 19. So that's a bit of a drop in it in a year. I don't know what their plan is. They're either very, very clever or very, very stupid. I can't make up my mind which it is. We've been left completely defenceless. And I mean, I'm sure that's just to try and suck us into this European army. But I think that's all going to fall to pieces. I honestly do. I don't think the Germans will ever get their hands on our nuclear submarines. The European army will be, but it's not going to be how a lot of people are saying it is now. And we definitely aren't going to be a part of it. And even if we do lose some of our submarines to the European Union, in the end it's all going to work out. Marine Le Pen is definitely going to get elected, and France is going to leave the EU. That's going to screw the Germans big time. And when you look at what the Italians did, rejecting any changes to their constitution so that the big banks could screw them over like they screwed the Greeks over, then it was interesting to see what Max Kaiser had to say today on the Kaiser report on RT, when he was saying about how Greece is gone, it will never come back. That's because the big banks have asset stripped the whole country. The Greeks don't own anything in their own country, and luckily enough the Italians were bright enough to not allow them to do it. And Brexit will stop them from, well, it won't stop them because it's halfway there, but it will slow them down in this country, and eventually they will be stopped because it can't go on like it is. The reason all these services and everything is crumbling is because we're paying over. We've got less and less taxpayers, we've got an older population, and all the money that we're getting from imports and exports and general stuff like that is going to run the country, and all the money we're paying in income tax, etc., road tax and all that, is going straight to the banks to pay interest. £5,000 a second. You know, and that's why we've got no hospitals. That's why we've got no army. That's why we've got no police. That's why our councils are shite, because they've all been privatised. You know, Cornwall Council was privatised in 2009. it's become a unitary authority. I'm not quite sure what that means. I think it just means that they can squirrel away all the money, make a load more money for the Treasury, so it can give it to the banks. Meanwhile, they're talking about not emptying the bins and throwing old people out on the streets and that. It's all going to end in tears if we're not careful. It's getting to that point now. It's getting to a tipping point where we're going to wake up one morning and nothing works. And not far off that now. You know, I live in Cornwall. My closest major hospital is 30 miles away, and it's on black alert all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Doesn't matter what time of the year it is. That means there ain't a bed in the place spare, and that's a bit scary, especially for older people. You know, because they think, well, what am I going to do if I get ill? And then when they do get ill, if they're lucky enough to get a place, then they can't get them out of hospital because they've got nowhere to go, because the council ain't got the money to pay for the old people's homes. Now, in the good old days, back when I was young, the good old days, yeah, in the early 70s, which was a particularly shit period of time, but hospitals had like acute care wards where you came out of the hospital ward and you went into this care ward where they looked after you until they could find you a place either in an old people's home or back with your family or whatever. But you weren't bed blocking, because that's what these beds were for. You know, just to look after people who couldn't really look after themselves. And there was nothing wrong with that, but see, there's no money in that. And since all these units and all that have all been privatised, everything in the NHS now is privatised. So they're saying they've got no money, but they're making money for shareholders. So the other bit of the money that's not going to the Treasury is going to shareholders of all these private companies. You know, in Derriford Hospital, outside Derriford Hospital, they got a breast screening unit and an MRI unit. Now, years ago, they would have put those in a room in the hospital, because the hospital would have owned the room. It would have bought the machine. We used to have appeals. Charity for buying an X-ray machine or buying an MRI machine or whatever. I mean, they weren't around when I was younger, but definitely X-ray machines or a new operating table and all that kind of stuff. And people used to chip in, you know, like they do now with charity events. But all this stuff at Derriford Hospital, there was a lorry parked up with a breast screening unit, a 40-foot articulated lorry and its tractor unit on hire, and there was an MRI machine there with a couple of porta cabins and a tractor unit on hire. So they don't own none of that, so the hospital's paying them a fairly large fee ad infinitum to have these bits of kit there. Excuse me. And I suppose it works for them, because no longer do the NHS own the infrastructure. So it's not in anybody's interest to have the room built at the hospital to take a machine that they own, purely because there's no capital incentive for them to do it. All this stuff's been sold off, right? It was ours, and it's all been sold off under our noses to private companies, and they've just kept it quiet. All these people in Westminster and their predecessors have all been complicit. They've all known exactly what's going on, and none of them, not one of them, has got the balls to stand up and say, no, this isn't right. They've all sat there on their fat asses, spending money, spending our money on expense accounts and stuff, and screwing us, basically. You know, our council, in the Bill of Rights 1666, it says that our council's got a duty of care to us.